All right, hello, and welcome to the Hybrid Theory Racing League. And we are around Red Bull Ring in Austria, where it is raining heavily. And I have also managed to do a successful audio check, so hopefully everything is good. But the track seems to be pretty wet here for qualifying. Yep, full wets it is. Just one driver on the intermediates. I'm not sure. A few drivers on the intermediates choosing to come on the intermediates. Not sure how the track evolution would look like in terms of rain coming down or staying as is, or rather increasing as I am just setting my controls as well. I don't think we need that per se in terms of tire. Let's see, yeah, we might just need some tires as there's a McLaren that's coming out. I think that is a Zune, the first driver to come out on track, and I think there is an Alpine that's following him of PSI Legends, just sliding his way around and probably collecting his front wing. I'm not very sure if he's going to dance back to the pits now. Let's see, probably Azun. We'll keep an eye out on Azun. Let's see what kind of grip he's on the intermediate tires. So few of the drivers choosing to come on the intermediates, while there are others who are on a set of full wets, and the track does seem to be pretty greasy there. And not sure if the Inters would be able to give that. I think it's a very much a crossover. I can't see a lot of puddles on the track, but it's definitely not a lot of grip as well there. But let's see, let's keep an eye out on Azun as he is starting the very first hot lap around the Red Bull Ring, a very short circuit, 10 corners making up the entire lap, as now goes throttle, a bit tentative on the throttle, but finds that grip that he needs. He is deploying ERS. Yes, he is braking distances fairly increased as he now approaches turn 1, rides the curb thoroughly there, but rather was a bit cautious on the exit, now approaching pretty much a non-existing turn, but a very high braking zone and a low traction as well, but he has taken the throttle there. I'm not sure what kind of traction assist Azun is running at the moment, but it pretty much looks like there is a lot of assist on those tractions there, especially on that low traction zone as he now comes across turn 5, now coming into the technical part of the track, double left-hander, easy on the fifth gear, easy on the throttle. I think he does have that bit of grip that, but able to we would find out after other drivers, especially on different compounds at their times, as he comes across the final set of corners. The first driver to put in a lap time. Let's see where does that time take him. Probably a 1:14s or a 1:15s. Yep, 1:15.0 is the time to beat for the other drivers, as there is a Red Bull that's crossing the line of Hershey that's just starting a lap, but PSI Legends is, I think, or that is Shrikant Das on the full wet. So does he get the better grip than Azun? He doesn't. He's 7/10 behind Azun, as there's an Aston Martin also that has crossed the line, and Jishnu on those intermediates, the first driver to go on the 1:14.9. As there's a spinner of You Can Beat Me, I think, and the final corner, and there's a Mercedes that is just probably starting a lapse, and then the gamer will come back to him, as there's an Alpha Tauri as well that's of Abhishek's, I believe, on a set of intermediates coming to cross the line, and he puts his car on provisional pole 1:14.3. So definitely the track is increasing on that pace minute by minute. So there are 13 minutes to go, so expect a lot of shuffling off the grid order as well as time tumbling down, as Azun is coming probably for another finishing another run. Let's see if he improves. Yes, 4/10 of an improvement for him on this time, and this time PSI Legends is on an outlap, so yep, he did suffer from some kind of damage when he was coming out there. But Hershey in the Red Bull should be coming to cross the line, and he goes P5 and 2 seconds off pace. Then the provisional pole sitter, so that is clearly an indication that the wets are not the tires, or the full wets are not the tires to be on for this qualifying, as Chip Schema now starting a lap. So, and Manan also is going to start a lap, and You Can Beat Me is going to rush back into the pits after that damage in that final set of corners. So I think, hello Stuart, welcome to the chat. And it would have been nice if you could have joined on comms, but yep, you always have the invitation, so drop in a text and I'll send you a party invite. But nonetheless, coming back, there is a slow moving McLaren. I don't think it's definitely coming back into the pits. Yes, he is, and so would PSI Legends. So let's see who is the driver to cross the line. There are still a few drivers on a set of full wets, and is Hershey going to? He is should be dashing back into the pits. Yes, he is. Alright, let's pick a driver. I think it is Chip Schema. Oh, alright, alrighty. Enjoy the stream and the show and the comms then. Yep, no company, any kind of company is always welcoming, be it on chat or be it on party. But yes, I think it was Chip Schema who is to cross the line, and he goes P6, 4 seconds off pace. So not sure if he's doing race runs. He has deployed some kind of battery there for his hot lap, so probably there is a lot of time to find, as there's a McLaren that of Ibrahim that has spun himself around and also has beached himself. Has he? Is that going to be the end of qualifying for him? This is a situation where you might just have to reset. Oops. Alright, I am going to, I think you are pretty much disqualified. Yep, you are disqualified, Ibrahim. And your car might just stay like that. But anyway, coming back to the rest of qualifying. Unfortunate for you, Ibrahim, but all is not lost. This is not the final grid order. But yep, coming back, we now all have pretty much all the drivers on a set of intermediates. So let's pick a driver, a short track. This is a short track. Drivers can go for multiple runs in this qualifying session. So we still have 10 minutes to go. Alright, let's see who is starting a lap. Let's go with, is he going to start his lap? Yep, looks like he is. So let's stay on board with Abhishek and see what kind of a lap he puts. Is there any kind of improvement? Is he now navigates turn 1, rides the curb completely as much as he can, down to the run up to turn 3 or 2 and 3, non-existent turn 2 essentially, but he has improved by 55 thousandths of a second. A slow traction zone, gets that grip that he needs out from the exit of that corner. Now another fast double DRS, second DRS here. Brakes are probably at somewhere around the 100-meter board, takes the curb and the apex neatly there, gets a bit squirrely at the exit, but probably not a lot of time lost there as he now approaches the double left-hander, and that is pretty much the end of the lap for Abhishek. I'm sure, yep, 6/10 down on his time. I think he might just go for another run, as there are a few drivers crossing the line. Let's see, GRL Mosquito is just starting his lap, and there was an Alpine that probably finished the lap of Chip Schema, still going 1.6 seconds behind the leader, and there is a Mercedes of Spandan the gamer coming to cross the line with an invalidated lap, so he might go on another run, as Jishnu is now takes provisional pole with almost a 6/10 of a gap to Abhishek. As You Can Beat Me in the Ferrari has invalidated his time, and so has the Red Bull, has it? Red Bull crosses the probably Now putting in a time as there's a McLaren. I think is that Azun? Yep, that is Azun, the only McLaren on the track out there, remaining McLaren. But the Red Bull of Hershey just goes P2 and about a tenth and a half away from provisional pole. So that's a good time set by Hershey as URL Pradeep has invalidated his lap and there's an Alfa Romeo. Who is that Alfa Romeo? Why can't I get there? Of Manan crossing the line. P7 for Manan, 1.6 seconds off pace. As Spandan the gamer should now be coming to cross the line and he goes P1. So provisional pole for Spandan the gamer. A good time set in by him. 7 more minutes to go and the track is certainly gathering a lot of pace as the rain has dropped down tremendously from what it was 11 minutes ago. But that's a good time set in by the Mercedes, 2.5 tenths, a quarter of a second, and make that almost a fifth of a second the gap to Zune in P2 who just finished his time. There is a Red Bull crossing. Let's see where does Hershey displace? Does he displace himself? No, he really doesn't. So I think he would be going on another run as there's an Aston Martin of URL Pradeep goes P9, 2.5 seconds away as there was an Alpine that is probably started a lap. Alright, six more minutes to go. So pretty, and these drivers are getting runs aplenty in these wet sessions. They can go for consecutive runs as well. So expect these times to tumble down further possibly as there is a Ferrari coming to cross the line next and that is You Can Beat Me. And where does he put himself? That's P5 for almost half a second away from the provisional pole sitter, but that's a good time set in by You Can Beat Me. As Tanishq is still to put in a lap on those 4-lap old intermediates, so still a lot of time for these drivers to probably go back to the pits and have another set of tires. As Hershey hasn't also improved on his time, there's an Aston Martin of URL Pradeep crossing the line this time around. Goes P7, 1.5 seconds improvement on his time. As Manan is coming to cross the line, gets a bit squirrely at the final set of corners. Where does he see himself? Is that an improvement on his time? Yes, that is almost by half a second and he goes P9. 1.8 seconds adrift from the provisional pole sitter as we have another Aston Martin which is going to come back into the pits as Chip Schema now on those fresh intermediate tires is going to start a lap. That is definitely not going to be representative of his time right now as there is a spinner of You Can Beat Me again at that corner and Tanishq in that process he was passing the spinning Ferrari and he takes provisional pole 4 tenths separating him and Jishnu in P2 who also has improved on his time. So that's an interesting qualifying and we have a driver looking to gamble on the softs. I'm not very sure he would decide to come out of his box on those tires because the rain, as much as it is eased off, it is still there with us. So I'm not sure if that is going to be the right choice. As Spandan the gamer will probably is starting his lap as there is the Aston Martin of URL Pradeep's a slow moving one, so probably starting his lap as there's an Alpine of Chip Schema crossing the line goes P7, so 9 tenths away from the pole as the Red Bull also goes back into the pits of Tanishq and so would you can beat me with that broken front wing. And Hershey also not improving on his time, so expect him to dash back into the pits for one final run on fresh set of tires for all of these drivers probably, while Manan might just be also looking to come back into the pits. Not sure how what that situation looks like, but I hope. Okay, Manan is going on another run, so he chooses not to come on a set of fresh, fresher winters. Maybe he doesn't have one, but hopefully he should. But neither does Pandan come to the pit right now. But let's see now. URL Pradeep improving on his time towards the end of the middle sector and still improving by the end of the lap as well, and goes P9. As there is a McLaren of Azun, I think, just marginally away from his time, so not any kind of an improvement for him. As I think PSI Legends should be the next driver to cross the line. But looks like he is going to start a lap, I think so. That would be coming later, as Manan might just also be on a cooldown. He is letting the Mercedes pass as Pandan the Gamer improving on his time by more than half a second, which is pretty much poised to see him on pole provisionally as he comes across the final corner. Where does he see his car? Provisional pole with a 112.5 for Spandan the Gamer, as Deadly Mosquito 6/10 of an improvement for him, and he goes P11 as URL Pradeep now coming to cross the line. 4/10 of an improvement for him as he goes P6, I think, as Azun now crossing the line. P2, 54 thousandths of a second separating them, as Shrikant Das probably starting a lap, and there's a Red Bull also crossing. Was that Tanishq also starting a lap? So I think there is another Red Bull crossing, and I think he would also be looking to start a lap. Yep, looks like he is also going to start a lap, so let's come back to him later, as PSI Legends is still in the mix but invalidated his time, so expect him to also go for one final run, and so would You Can Beat Me navigating the final corner. Yes, he would also be starting. So Spandan the Gamer, I think, would he have enough time to go back? But Manan is going to be crossing the line. I think he was starting up on his time. Can he displace anyone? Yes, he goes P9. And the Alpha Tauri of Abhishek stays P6, and GRL Mosquito stays P11. There's an Aston Martin that's crossing the line of URL Pradeep, who has invalidated his lap. And here comes Azun for one final time across the final corner. Can he steal the pole position from Spandan the Gamer? P2 is where he will stay, as there was a displacement of Shrikant Das, I think, and Chip Schema also not kind of any position changed, as Tanishq has also finished his time. And there is a Red Bull of Hershey going to cross the line, improving by a second. That is going to pretty much put him in the front rows. P5 for Hershey, as I think that is pretty much the end of qualifying. We have Spandan, who can still challenge, but You Can Beat Me has invalidated his lap. So is Spandan on a run, or is he going to come back? He is going on a run, looking to complete his... Oops. Alright. I hope the drivers are wary of pit entry cuts during the race. So that pretty much is the end of qualifying for you. Spandan the Gamer with a 112.5 takes pole position. Tanishq 15 thousandths of a second behind him. Azun in P3, as Sid Venkatesh has also joined the lobby. PSI Legends P4. So 6 thousandths, or so rather 6 six hundredths of a second separating the top four. So that is some impressive driving by these uh, drivers. As I go through the rest of the grid, so PSI Legends 61 thousands behind. Jishnu in P5, Harshi P6, Shrikant Das, Chips, Kima, the point getters from this qualifying session. Abhishek's in P9, URL Pradeep, You Can Beat Me, Manan, Deadly Mosquito, the final time setters on board, and Ibrahim with that unfortunate disqualification in P14. So that is qualifying for you, ladies and gentlemen, and we might just be back for. Before we start the race, we might just have to arrange the grid, and we have a three lapper carnage incoming before we move towards setting the grid for the race. Fantastic. Way to go. All right, viewers, we will be right back after setting the grid. All right, hello and welcome back. So we are ready to get underway for 36 laps around the Red Bull Ring in Austria. So let's see. The weather did have a role to play in qualifying. Let's see if the weather has a role to play again, or are we going to see a dry race throughout as we wait for players to ready up. All right, pretty much looks like a sunny afternoon at the circuit or around the Styrian Hills. But let's see if there is any kind of cloud cover that we come across and eventual rain uh, through the course of these 36 laps. Potentially somewhere around a 45 or a 45 to 50-minute race, somewhere around those, if we are to see safety cars coming in. But nonetheless, we are all about to find out. As let me also just be right back and get my charger straight. All right, we are underway with the formation lap. As let's have a look at the tire situation. So one driver on a set of soft tires, while a mixed composition of hard and medium runners. The top row essentially on different strategies there, while P3 and the second row in the same strategy, again a split strategy in the third row, while the fourth row again has the same strategy and a split strategy for the fifth and the sixth row, and the seventh row with a hard tire strategy and a zone on a set of softs, being mindful of a spin Jishnu at the start. As let's see, Sid, Venkatesh and Ibrahim in the McLaren in the front row, with Manan in the Alfa Romeo and Tanish. So just let's keep an eye out on these drivers, the medium runners, especially what kind of a start they have. As Tanish, all these drivers trying to line their car up for a decent launch. As I love the camera angle that the game is currently giving me. Let's hope it stays the same as we are ready to go underway, as we have the 5 lights around the Red Bull ring, and it's a big pause and lights out, and away we go. Sid Venkatesh in the Ferrari gets a good start. Meanwhile, Manan in the Alfa Romeo gets a brilliant start. Ibrahim getting eaten up, and there is a retiree of You Can Beat Me who hasn't been able to make up to turn 1 yet again, and we see a safety car already. So not the best of outcomes for Malav yet again. So yet another race where he hasn't been able to reach turn 1. Not sure what happened there, but Manan, Tanish, Abhishek, THTRL, Pradeep, Shrikant Das, Spandan, Chipski are gaining a lot of positions. Ibrahim losing out on a few positions along with PSI Legends and Deadly Mosquito. So a safety car right at turn 1 here. A pretty short run down to turn 1, and also can potentially cause incidents, and we already have one. So Malav, if you are watching the stream, so if you would like to join us on the comms box, you can bless us with your commentary, if not the driving. But yeah, if you can clean your frustration out of from your helmet and from your head in any way whatsoever that you would like. The option is always open, as we have a few pitters of PSI Legends and a Zune. So a Zune probably going on a set of hard tires, or let's go back. I think those were a set of mediums. So there were a set of hard tires, while PSI Legends coming on a set of medium tires, probably having a front wing change as well. There's your predicted pit stop strategy: a one stop medium to hards, or a soft medium in a two stopper. So short track can probably, it is a difficult call to make for those two stoppers, but now with safety car coming out already, this opens up a lot of strategy games for these drivers, as Ozun is now back on the grid with pretty much the similar strategy to the drivers around him. It is a one stop, so those soft tires not really doing him any kind of good. Alright, let me just do a quick audio check once again. Everything is audible, so it hasn't been much of a problem, but well, 3 laps already eaten under the safety car, so hopefully the safety car should be in this lap. Alright, hopefully the safety car should be in this lap. Yes, it is. The track is clear on the map, so the Sid would be trying to line himself up, or rather bunch the pack up for the restart. Let's see as when does he decide to go, and it is not yet, and I think he is going to take it to the line, and he has gone. But Red Bull of Tanish is fairly pretty hot on the Alfa Romeo of Manan, while the rest of the field is still behind. As go down on the inside goes Tanish, but a bit of contact, I think, between the two drivers, and both of them have managed to get themselves out, as all the drivers fairly cleanly restarting, as there is almost a 3 wide moment between the McLaren Haas and the Alfa, or rather the Aston Martin. But the Aston Martin of Jishnu has made the move stick. Has he gained any kind of positions? I'm not sure, but we'll see. Is he coming under any kind of attack? But Hershey has lost some kind of positions, and so has URL Pradeep to Shrikant Das, who are almost side by side. URL Pradeep wants to come back at Shrikant Das, but Shrikant Das having the outside line and gets the grip advantage but runs a bit wide in that process, as Deadly Mosquito and Hershey are also jostling for positions. Meanwhile, Manan is also hot at Sid Venkatesh with that grip advantage, and there is a the top three have made considerable ground as Manan goes on the inside of Sid Venkatesh and makes that move. And Sid Venkatesh now having had his exit compromise is now lost two positions, another to Sid Venkatesh to Tanish B. Kiran, as Tanish or rather Manan goes deep into that corner which invites Tanish, and Tanish has taken the lead of the race. And now Sid Venkatesh is looking to make his move back to Manan. Does he dive down the inside? Yes, he does. Both drivers just giving each other just enough space. Now who has the better grip out on the inside line takes the shorter run. Sid Venkatesh, and the Ferrari holds that position, as Abhishek also is looking to get involved in this battle. So brilliant racing between these drivers, as there is the Alpine and the Aston Martin, and there is a spinner and a wing damage, I think. Yes, that is 4, as this, I think that was Abhishek's running wide across the corners and taking a pretty questionable pit entry there, but he had a lot of drivers coming right ahead of him. But let's go back now. Tanishq has pulled a 1.5 second lead to Sid Venkatesh, with DRS now also enabled. Shrikant Das looking to make a move on Manan. Is he peeking down the inside? Yes, he does. Manan yet again outbreaks himself. Contact between the two drivers. Hopefully no damage for any of them, but Shrikant Das has already his red light flashing. And is it a 3 wide moment? Not yet, but Shrikant goes on the inside of turn 5 and makes a move on Manan, and he is now the lead of this train. Is he? No, he isn't. It is still Sid Venkatesh, and while Tanishq is just pulling out 10s and 10s every sector on Sid Venkatesh, and Sid Venkatesh might just come under a bit of threat from the hunting Shrikant Das, as Manan takes a ride to the pits. I think that is definitely some kind of wing damage for Manan, and he might just come on a set of hard tires. But is there what's happening for the battle for P2? Shrikant Das has his light flashing already. Does he have enough straight line speed to be able to pose any kind of threat to Sid Venkatesh? No is the answer for now, but he would get another DRS assist, 7/10, and Sid Venkatesh gets a brilliant exit through that corner, and I don't think there's any kind of a move coming, but URL Pradeep is coming under attack by Chip Schema. Chip Schema goes on the inside. URL Pradeep just avoiding contact there and ceding that position, living to fight another day, as he has his teammate right behind him on those hard tires. So let's see if there are any kind of team orders, as Pradeep runs a bit too wide and cedes the position to his teammate there, as PSI Legends and Azun. PSI Legends making a move on Azun over there, and this is it's difficult to break a DRS train here around Austria, and drivers would want to stick to the DRS of the drivers ahead, as Shrikant Das once again looking to make a move here, but nothing doing per se for him, as almost he goes on to the gearbox of the Ferrari ahead. This time he does not get that exit and is under attack from Spandan, the gamer, who pulls on the inside of the Williams and takes that P3 from Shrikant. So that's brilliant racing by Spandan, and he would be looking to make further moves, but Shrikant Das wants to come back at Spandan and is making his life a bit difficult, but they still follow suit right now, as going behind us there's the Aston Martin of URL Pradeep that has gone very wide there and has lost a few more positions to the Alpine and the McLaren. Going back up, can Shrikant Das come back. Both the drivers have their red light traction side by side across turn 1. Go both the drivers. Spandan having to take that a bit of that escape route, rides over the sausage curve, but this will all of this might just make him lose the DRS to Sid Venkatesh, but which is not yet, and Shrikant Das is making life difficult for him as Jishnu is also following Chip schema both on the same set of compounds there, as now Tanishq has also pulled away a 5-second lead to Sid Venkatesh, so that is pretty much a very composed race that is going on for him, while there is an intense battle for P2 that's going on and another for P5. Chip schema would also be very eager to attach himself to the train because he is a driver who's going to come under a lot of attack because it is an Aston Martin and an Alpine sandwich, and what kind of games can the Alpine play here on Jishnu right now? Jishnu looking to make a move on turn 1. No, not really, nothing doing for now. Would want to focus on the exit out of this corner. Meanwhile, Spandan the gamer also trying to make a move as Jishnu has made a move on one of the Alpines, but Chip Schema wants to come back at him, has the inside line, who gets the better drive. Chip Schema will also get the DRS on this occasion, but Jishnu is defending the middle of the track. Does Chip Schema dive down the inside? No, he doesn't. He still holds back, but he does get a brilliant better drive than the Aston Martin driver. Gearbox to front wing is what is happening between these three. Can Chip Schema get that move back on him on the next DRS set? We're about to find out, but Spandan the gamer also just 3 tenths behind, as PSI Legends and Chip Schema have probably exchanged positions there, as PSI Legends on those medium tires, so he knows Chip Schema has to go long, so letting his teammate through. But let's see if Spandan, who is closer than ever to Sid Venkatesh, also gets a good exit. DRS wide open for the Mercedes driver, pulls on the inside of the Ferrari, evenly break the two drivers, and Williams of Shrikant Das also trying to get involved, but Sid Venkatesh having is on the line and gets that pure grip advantage. Meanwhile, what's happening behind, as Chip Schema is ahead of his teammate yet again and is now challenging the Aston Martin, and Azun in the McLaren is also involved in a battle with PSI Legends. So this battle for P5 is rather getting very feisty, and so is the battle for P2. So let's see if there is any kind of jostle of positions that happen around. Going back up to Spandan the gamer, as now he comes across the start finish straight. There is a hungry Shrikant Das right behind him. Spandan the gamer would want to line his exit up for this corner. Let's see if he can. Doesn't have any kind of battery to contend with. Meanwhile, the two Alpines are also side by side, as Tanishq has retired from the session, from the lead of the race, and that is a safety car. And Spandan the gamer in all of this also made a move on Sid Venkatesh right before that message. So things have gotten rather interesting, and Tanishq, you were on a race of your own. You couldn't get that screen time. We were watching out for you though, but now there is nothing really left for us to watch out for in terms of your race. So that's a premature end to yours, an unfortunate one, but it is how it is. So let's see if the medium runner of Spandan has decided to box. Sid Venkatesh continues. Shrikant Das in the pits. Jishnu in the hards continues. So does PSI Legends on the mediums. Okay. And Chip Schema is also continuing. So I think Hershey is in the pits. So is URL Pradeep. All the medium runners should looking to get into the pits. Let's see if Abhishek he decides to carry on. Still a lot of life left on those medium tires. But Sid Venkatesh is back in the lead of the race. Has started P1, is still P1, and he's got another hard runner behind him. And PSI Legends on some old tires. And the sun is also fairly shining bright, so I don't really think there might be any rain in the race, as I'll also just be right back. Alright, hopefully the safety car should be in this lap. Yes, and that is the message of safety car coming in this lap. And we have a few hard runners, old, medium and hard runners, the top four not having boxed, while pretty much the rest of the pack is on some fresh rubber. As let's see, when does Sid Venkatesh decide to go this time around? And does he go? He still hasn't gone. And he is taking it to the line. And he has gone finally, which has probably caused a lot of pile-ups behind and cold tires. Drivers going wide side by side through turn 1. There is a spinner, I think, of the Alpine of Chip Schema, who has gotten his car back in control, but I think Sid Venkatesh himself lost his car and the lead and is still struggling for temperatures on those tires. As on the inside goes Shrikant Das on the Alpine of probably Chip Schema. I'm not very sure which that Alpine is, but still holding position. As PSI Legends has also made a move on the inside of Jishnu, and there a lot of positions being shuffled and the safety car restart, and still drivers going side by side. Let's see if there is any kind of a move coming here for Hershey. Meanwhile losing position actually instead of gaining any, but it is a short track and a fast track where drivers, the quicker they get up to temperatures, as Manan is in the pits and so is Hershey, so probably contact between the two drivers, maybe not very sure what might have happened there as Chip Schema gets a bit squirrely, which invites Shrikant Das and Azun to challenge him, and Azun side by side with the Williams. Shrikant Das breaks way later. Azun going for a switchback on Shrikant Das and successfully gets that better drive on him and makes that move, a brilliant move on the Williams driver. As PSI Legends is now pulling away from Jishnu, who is pulling away from Chip Schema, who is under a lot of attack from the McLaren and the Williams of Azun and Shrikant Das, and Abhishek would also be looking right behind to get involved as Sid Venkatesh has lost a lot of positions through that safety car restart on those cold tires. As DRS is now enabled, as PS Azun, even before DRS being enabled, has made a move on Chip Schema on those fresh hard tires, and now Azun is in P3 as down the inside goes the Williams of Shrikant Das, and it is who gets the better exit behind. It's a 3 wide movement. Meanwhile, Abhishek very cheekily observing the battle up ahead and makes a move on both those drivers right behind. So Shrikant Das still not able to make a move on Chip Schema and has lost another position in that process, and so has Chip Schema. Meanwhile, URL Pradeep and Ibrahim side by side. Pradeep looking to make a move on Ibrahim, goes way too much on the inside, has to take a bit of the grass, which compromises his drive for a bit, and Ibrahim has spun himself around, and not the best of news for Ibrahim right there, as Azun now looking to make inroads on the drivers behind, as Chip Schema has had a moment coming out of the final corner and has lost a position to Shrikant Das, but now will get the DRS on Shrikant Das, who doesn't have the DRS on drivers ahead. Meanwhile, Azun and Abhishek also side by side. Abhishek on those medium tires having the grip advantage and makes a move on Azun. Now he also gets a good exit and is secure from this attack from Azun. Meanwhile, Chip Schema and Shrikant Das side by side through turn 5, still side by side across as they come towards the end of the middle sector, and a tricky double left-handers side by side continue. Both the drivers giving each other just enough space, and in fact more than enough space, being respectful of each other's boundaries. And Shrikant Das lives to fight another lap. Takes a peek down the inside of Chip Schema. Will have the DRS on him yet again. But let's see if there is any kind of a move coming for Shrikant Das. Both the drivers side by side through turn 1. Shrikant Das decides to back out of it, but wants to unrest Chip Schema on his exit, and now will get the DRS on Chip Schema and also the position. But Chip Schema, can he come back? Shrikant Das defends the middle of the track, and Spandan the gamer also wanting to get involved along with Sid Venkatesh there. And this is a 4-way battle for P5 right now, as Chip Schema now comes back at Shrikant Das. Shrikant Das not having the best of exits through turn 3 I think, or turn 4, as now he loses that position to Chip Schema yet again. Let's see what happens this lap around, as this 4-way battle might just soon be joined by URL Pradeep behind, as going back up it is a 4-way battle for P1 as well, as PSI Legends yet to box, and he has probably made his mandatory pit stop. He cannot take those mediums through to the end of the race, that is for sure. But right now what he needs to worry about is his position, and Abhishek, who is challenging on him, goes down the inside. Abhishek breaks later than the Alpine, covers off his exit and makes a move stick on that fresh rubber. Meanwhile, PSI Legends still holding off Jishnu, who is also pretty much on old rubber, but Spandan the gamer is looking to make a move around the outside of Chip Schema. Almost a three-wide moment between these three drivers, but now Spandan the gamer side by side with Chip Schema. Chip Schema on the racing line gets that grip but Spandan the gamer tries to brake late but has to be wary of any kind of contact between them, as Sid Venkatesh is just also eager to make any kind of move or a position as he can on them. Meanwhile, Azun would also want to make a move, while Abhishek has already pulled away from the from PSI Legends, who would not get the DRS and now will be under attack from Azun as well as Jishnu. Meanwhile, Chip Schema is under attack from Spandan the gamer in the Mercedes, and Spandan the gamer gets a tap on the back from the Williams, which pushes the Alpine wide, and Spandan the gamer makes that move finally. But the Ferrari of Sid Venkatesh is also looking to make the most of that moment and makes the move on Shrikant Das. So brilliant racing, brilliant exchanging of positions between these drivers, and there are still 15 laps to go. They're fighting as if these are the final few laps. But nonetheless, it is a good show for us to see, as Spandan the gamer right now the lead of the train, and let's see if he can hold himself from the drivers behind, as Shrikant Das almost kissing the res of Sid Venkatesh, who is on pretty old rubber as compared to those of the Williams driver. Now Shrikant Das, is he looking to take a peek down the inside? He decides to back off from that for the moment, but there isn't Jishnu. PSI Legends now defending from Vishnu, but Jishnu loses ground to Azun, and Azun probably takes that grip advantage to his liking and makes a move and would be charging further. Meanwhile, going right behind, let's see, the drivers now pretty much following suit, as Pradeep has also joined this battle for P5, and another battle for P2 that's brewing, and Azun will get the DRS assist from the Alpine ahead. Might just look to make a move in the next couple of laps, would try to close in on PSI Legends as much as he can. The Alpine driver has got his red light flashing, so Azun knows he doesn't have a lot of battery to contend with, and he is pulling those tens in onto PSI Legends, and the triple DRS around this short track does really benefit the drivers behind, as PSI Legends has spun himself around on those old medium tires. Pretty much that is the call sign for him to take a ride back to the pit lane before he loses any further time, and that might just be the case for Jishnu as well, who would be losing a lot of steam on those hards, as he is losing a lot of ground to Azun ahead, and Azun would be looking to make the most of these hard tires and probably plan for a move on Abhishek and for the race victory towards the final stages, where those mediums might have also just worn out for Abhishek because he's already done 10 laps. He has 12 laps to go, while Abhishek would just really be hoping for a safety car right now, and so would Jishnu. And so would PSI Legends, but Spandan the gamer, let's go back to this 4-car battle for P5. Spandan the gamer still holding his ground from the drivers behind. There are a lot of drivers who haven't yet boxed, as well. This 4-car battle is probably the only closest battle for us to probably keep an eye out on, as I don't see there's anything else really happening. Alright, as Shrikant Das is looking feisty on the Ferrari of Sid Venkatesh. Is he going to look for a move on this lap? He is pretty close to make that move. He looks for the inside. Is he going to be the latest of the breakers? He does break late and challenges Sid Venkatesh on the inside, but Sid Venkatesh gets that better traction out of that corner and still holds that position. Meanwhile, going back up, I think is Azun is maintaining that gap, or he is losing a bit of ground to him at the moment, to Abhishek at the moment, but let's see how this gap stays towards the last 5 odd laps of the race, as Shrikant Das pretty close to Sid Venkatesh, who is almost on the verge of losing that DRS to Chip's Kima. Will he get the DRS this time around? He does get the DRS, so that's just a blessing for him in disguise, and that gap has probably just closed down a bit as well. So now that's a bit of good news for him, as Chip Schema has pulled off from the DRS of Spandan. So I think he might probably Sid and Chips in the same party chat. As Spandan the Gamer and PSI Legends side by side, did PSI Legends have another moment which just invited all these drivers too close to him? Now 24 laps, he's done 24 laps on those medium tires, losing a lot of time, and now would be under a lot of threat, as there is a yellow flag for Shrikant Das, who has lost his car, but hopefully no damage done to him, so he can still continue and look to end this race on those tires itself. But this gap between Azun and Abhishek is rather increasing, and it's increased by a second over the last 1.5 laps or so. So Abhishek's pretty much poised and settled to win the race. Alright, so I think all these drivers have broken from each other's DRS, as PSI Legends on those old tires has had a moment again from P1. He is now at P11, so this pretty much is the time for you to, yes, come back to the pits and not cause yourself a puncture. As Ibrahim and Manan side by side, did one of the drivers have a moment? I'm not very sure. Looks like Manan did have some kind of a moment coming out of the double exit through the double left-hander, I'm guessing, but not very sure, as the field has fairly spaced out and a lot of gap between these drivers. Yup, Caesar, indeed. A lot of traditions being followed here. A Baku enthusiast is now a Red Bull Ring enthusiast as well. And Tanishq, on a race of his own, decides to crash into the wall. So, not a lot of surprises there from past experiences, but hopefully things change for them over the next seasons that would come through and the next few races as well, as now this is fairly a pretty boring time for me as well, where there's not a lot of action to follow. Okay, there are these drivers who are a bit close. Ibrahim losing that position again to Manan. And I think this is the battle for final points position. No, not really. But those penalties might come into picture. So, yeah, talking about penalties, is there is okay a pitter in the likes of Hershey having done 13 laps on those tires. So 6-second penalty for Spandan the gamer, which would push him to P6. As Hershey is just coming out of the pits. Oh, side by side are Manan and both the drivers. Contact between the two drivers, I think, through turn one. I think both the drivers just spinning and losing, making contact and just spinning each other around. As PSI Legends makes the most of that situation and makes that overtake. Double overtake as he gets a 5-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags. Oops, as Jishnu is finally come into the pits for a probably intermediates. Oh yeah, there is rain in the race. Oh, alrighty, this looks rather interesting now, and my eyes have just opened up a little. There are droplets of rain that I can surely see. Oh, yep. One thing, as much as these drivers space themselves out, one thing that I did miss out on was the weather. And Hershey has also come out on a set of intermediates, which is fair. Expect Abhishek to come into the pits. No, not yet. He says he thinks he can do another lap before thinking of going back into the pits. And Azun also thinks the same, and so does Spandan, and so does Ships, and so does Sid, so does URL Pradeep. Okay, so these drivers don't think it's time for inters, but I can. Let's keep an eye out on the gap between Shrikant Das and Jishnu. Okay, Delhi Mosquito decides to come back into the pits. The gap is increasing, so definitely not time for inters yet. But let's see how far Jishnu's gamble takes him. But GRL Mosquito might just have found himself at the right time in terms of boxing. Let's have a look at the surface. It still looks like drivers are managing to find that bit of grip, and the leaders decide to continue for another lap, and so does DRS has been disabled, so that pretty much is the sign where Inters could probably be the faster tire. But now let's find out. We're in lap 33, so 4 laps to go, 3 after this one, and which tire is the faster one for these last 3 laps? Because Manan has lost some kind of time, yep, and I think he is losing that a bit of time to the inter runner ahead of Hershey. Meanwhile, GRL Mosquito on those intermediates, Ibrahim on those soft tires right behind, and GRL Mosquito, has he spun? Yes, I think he has spun. Yes, he has spun on those intermediates. Oh, that's not the best of outcomes for him. But these drivers, the leaders are still continuing, and I think that probably would be a wise choice for them considering the gap they have to the ones behind. But it is definitely going to get tricky. But Jishnu is now started to close in on Shrikant Das. URL Pradeep decides to box for a set of intermediates. I think it's too little, too late there for URL Pradeep, but let's see. All of this might just help Spandan because his penalties, despite his penalty situation, he might still retain his P3. But there is a spinner. There is a spinner. I'm not able to find the spinner. That is PSI Legends on those soft tires. So he's not having the best of races. Sid Venkatesh has come out on a set of soft tires. Oh Sid, oh why did you box? These were wet conditions. I don't think you had to serve your mandatory pit stop. Oh, these hard runners could have gone to the end if not for Inters. But let's Jishnu is now 1 second behind Shrikant Das, so he might just be able to make this move. He might just get that place despite the penalty. But even Abhishek is on the pit for a set of intermediates in the final lap of the race. Final 2 laps of the race to go. This is rather interesting, but oh, and Shrikant Das has retired from the session. Oh no, he has lost his car. Oh, whoa, tricky conditions now. Azun has just needs to keep his and Spandan need to just keep their calm and see the checkered flag. Can they see the checkered flag? Because Abhishek is really closing in big time on Spandan the gamer, and URL Pradeep also having a struggle of his own, which is just inviting Jishnu. So it is just one lap and a sector to go. So four sectors effectively. But can these hard runners hold their ground? Azun has a 10-second cushion to him, which might just be enough for him to see himself through to the checkered flag. Abhishek's having boxed. Did he throw the race win away? Uh, can he pull once 10 seconds on Azun in the final lap? He might just get He might just get Spandan the gamer across at the exit of turn 1, I believe, which should be the case. I think that will be the case. He would get that position, but has he just done about enough? Azun having stayed out on those hard tires, but he is really struggling. Things might just get rather interesting to the checkered flag. Does Abhishek have enough ground? I'm sure not enough laps, but does he have enough ground to be able to make any kind of, as Manan is just unlapping himself on those better tires. But Azun has just about done enough to stick on to those old hard tires and see himself cross the checkered flag first. And Abhishek's boxing a couple of laps earlier just comes in 3.5 seconds behind. Jishnu would probably steal that position P3 from Spandan. Spandan right now on P3, but Jishnu, why hasn't Jishnu finished the race for me? I don't know. Oh yeah, finally it got synced. As Sid Venkatesh now coming, and Sid Venkatesh has spun his car. The soft tires. Sid, please take it through to the end. Yes, you do. As Harshi is also coming to round up. the race and GRL Mosquito following suit. I think no penalties are not going to affect the outcome here as PSI legends and Ibrahim and Manan in a battle of their own. Softs versus whoa, and Ibrahim not having the best of times on those soft tires and PSI legends retiring before just before the checkered flag and not scoring any kind of points there. So a funny and a dramatic end to the race. It surely widened the eyes after a very dull lap 28 to 31 or lap 25 to 30 rather I'd say, but these are the results for you. Azun staying on those hards, taking the checkered flag. Abhishek's in P2, Jishnu in P3, rounding up the podium position. Spandan the Gamer, URL Pradeep, Chips Kima, Sid Venkatesh, Harshi, Mosquito, and Manan. The final points finishers as Ibrahim comes home P11, PSI Legends DNFing at the final corner. Shrikant Das, Tanishq, and You Can Beat Me not managing to get to turn 1. The rest of the non-finishers of the race, as this is me, Gaurav, aka Easy Level Bot, signing off from the comms box. And we hope you enjoyed this race. And we'll be back again next week for some more action. Until then, it's bye bye, good night, and have a great weekend ahead.